Welcome to Echoes Untold, where we uncover the forgotten, the extraordinary, and the haunting echoes of history. Today, we take to the skies for a terrifying yet miraculous story of survival, one that changed aviation forever. This is the harrowing tale of Aloha Airlines Flight 243, a routine flight that turned into a mid-air nightmare on April 28, 1988. What happens when a commercial jet suffers catastrophic structural failure at 24,000 feet? How did the crew manage to land a plane that was practically torn apart in mid-air? And what lessons did the aviation industry learn from this disaster? Buckle up, because this is a story of courage, tragedy, and engineering lessons written in blood. This is Echoes Untold. It was supposed to be an ordinary short-haul flight. Aloha Airlines Flight 243, a Boeing 737-297, was scheduled to fly from Hilo on the Big Island of Hawaii to Honolulu on Oahu. It was a common route, lasting only about 30 minutes. On board were 89 passengers and 6 crew members, including Captain Robert Schornstheimer and First Officer Madeline Mimi Tompkins, both experienced pilots. Aloha Airlines was known for its inter-island flights, operating short and frequent routes between Hawaiian islands. Due to the nature of these flights, the aircraft used were subjected to more takeoffs and landings than most commercial jets, increasing wear and tear on their structures. Flight 243's aircraft had already undergone 89,680 flight cycles, one of the highest for a Boeing 737 at the time. At 1:25 p.m., the aircraft took off from Hilo under clear Hawaiian skies. Passengers settled in, expecting a smooth and scenic journey over the Pacific. Some had flown this route dozens of times before, never giving safety a second thought. However, what they didn't know was that beneath the glossy white fuselage of their aircraft, invisible cracks were forming, tiny stress fractures in the metal that had been growing for years. And in just a few minutes, those cracks would turn into a disaster. At around 1:48 p.m., as the aircraft reached its cruising altitude of 24,000 feet, passengers and crew suddenly heard a deafening boom. It was the sound of the fuselage tearing apart. A massive section of the roof, stretching from just behind the cockpit to over the wings, was gone, exposing passengers to the sky. The force of explosive decompression was instantaneous. The difference in air pressure between the inside of the cabin and the outside world at 24,000 feet meant that the air inside rushed out with incredible force, taking anything that wasn't bolted down with it. Tragically, flight attendant Clarabelle Lansing, who had been standing near row 5, was sucked out of the aircraft in an instant. Her body was never found. The passengers and remaining crew were left in a nightmare scenario. The roaring wind screamed through the plane, making it nearly impossible to hear or breathe. Loose debris flew through the cabin, striking people and causing injuries. Some passengers were left staring straight up at the open sky, held in place only by their seatbelts. Those without belts fastened were thrown violently. Miraculously, despite the catastrophic damage, the floor of the aircraft remained intact. Inside the cockpit, Captain Schornstheimer and First Officer Tompkins faced an impossible situation. They had lost all forward cabin structure, meaning they were essentially flying a convertible at 500 miles per hour. The shaking was so intense that instruments were difficult to read. The noise made communication with air traffic control almost impossible. Yet, they stayed calm. Their training kicked in, and they immediately began an emergency descent, knowing that the remaining passengers and crew were at risk of hypoxia due to the lack of oxygen at high altitude. Meanwhile, the flight attendants, despite their own terror, moved into action. One of them even attempted to retrieve a first aid kit from the overhead bin, only to discover that the entire bin was gone. As they approached Maui, another problem arose. The aircraft's nose was dipping dangerously, making it hard to control the descent. The loss of the upper fuselage had weakened the entire structure, and turbulence threatened to break it apart even more. Captain Schornstheimer expertly guided the aircraft toward Kahului Airport. With incredible precision, he touched down at 1:58 p.m., just 13 minutes after the explosion. The plane swerved due to the structural damage, but he managed to keep it on the runway. Once the aircraft stopped, terrified passengers scrambled to escape. Emergency crews were already on the scene, assisting the injured. Incredibly, out of 95 people on board, only one life was lost. Of the survivors, 65 people were injured, some seriously. The investigation revealed that the fuselage failure was due to metal fatigue and corrosion. The aircraft's high number of flight cycles had weakened the structure, and inadequate inspections had failed to detect the growing cracks. The National Transportation Safety Board (NTSB) report led to sweeping changes in aircraft maintenance policies. Airlines worldwide adopted stricter aging aircraft inspections, focusing on identifying structural weaknesses before they could lead to disaster. Aloha Airlines Flight 243 stands as a chilling reminder of the importance of aircraft maintenance and safety regulations. It also serves as a testament to the skill and professionalism of the flight crew, whose quick thinking and bravery saved 94 lives. Though one life was tragically lost, this disaster could have been much worse. Thanks to the heroic crew and a stroke of luck, dozens of people survived a situation that seemed impossible to overcome. History is full of moments where disaster and survival walk a razor-thin line. The story of Flight 243 is one of tragedy, courage, and lessons learned in the harshest way possible. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Echoes Untold. Your support helps us continue to uncover the whispers of history. Echoes Untold, where history whispers, and we listen. Fact-checked note and sources. This account is based on official reports from the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, survivor accounts, and aviation safety records. Sources: NTSB Aircraft Accident Report, Aloha Airlines Flight 243, 1989, Aviation Safety Network Incident Report, FAR Regulations on Aging Aircraft Inspections.